All right, welcome back to the channel. So, we got big steroids controversy in boxing with Tyson Fury and Borgate. We have another very serious allegation going around about Tyson Fury, an ESPN fighter, about him having fought with tampered gloves. So, as you know, the ethical giants at ESPN decide to cover corruption in the sport of boxing. However, instead of covering the very current issues related to one of their marquee fighters, they decide to bring up scoring in boxing in a major diversion from the issue. Let's talk about that ridiculousness in this video. All right, welcome back. All right, we back here talking this boxing. Hey, find boxing videos to watch. Support the sport of boxing while boxing is in its hiatus. Whether it's this channel or another channel, thank you guys so much for continuing to listen, because this is really a good time to talk about some issues that might not be able to have as much room in the overall boxing discussion during times where there's a lot of actual fights going on, and that is cheating in boxing. That matter of fact, for the last couple weeks, the number one subject in boxing has been cheating in boxing, whether it is tampering with gloves or whether it is lying during investigations for performance enhancing drugs. Cheating has been at the forefront, and I think that's a good thing, man. But ESPN is very interested, man. Now, the main guy over there, the main person over there that's embroiled in this whole cheating scandal is the heavyweight champion, the WBC heavyweight champion, actually has at one point in time held all the major belts in his career. Excellent fighter, but a serial cheater in Tyson Fury. So what does ESPN decide to talk about? They decide to talk about what we can do in an article by Dan Rayfield and Steve Kim, what we can do about the problem with scoring in boxing. Now, I've used that as an example several times. So during this last couple conversations we've had this week, how interesting it is when people brought up that Tyson Fury looked like his knuckle was going through the palm of a glove. By the way, please, people, do not send me doctored pictures trying to prove to me that I don't see knuckles. Okay, no photoshopped pictures with the with where I can see through the entire glove because you're trying to superimpose a smaller glove onto Tyson Fury's hands to make it look like it's higher up. If I can see the tape, in your pictures, if I can see the tape around his wrist, all the way to his wrist, I know you superimpose, you reduce the opacity on one picture and then try to superimpose it on another. Come on, don't come with that corniness, man. I have every right to believe it is very reasonable to believe that those are knuckles that I see in those gloves. But I thought I would call out somebody real quick in the middle of this video that's trying to send me falsified evidence. Like, what you think you are, Tyson Fury? You think I'm gonna buy your boar meat excuse? Anyway, so in the midst of this whole conversation, I'm just like, look, you see how interesting it is how if somebody says there's knuckles coming through somebody's glove and you believe they cheating and you believe that his hand's not in the glove, how all of a sudden it's absolutely impossible, to pull that off, and, you're just a sore loser and all of that, right? But yet, for a 118-110 scorecard on Adelaide Bird's on Adelaide's Bird card that was 2 years ago, you still have you have ESPN talking about the problem of scoring in boxing. Please tell me the fight last year that somebody was really up in arms about the scoring. That has not been a tremendous problem this year. There's no fight out there right now where anybody's arguing about the scoring. So why are you bringing up an article about scoring in boxing other than to distract people from what you're not talking about, which is that one of the champions that fought on an ESPN pay-per-view, which cost a lot of people money. There was a guy that was out there rampantly cheating. How about headbutt? How about elbows and neck wrenches in boxing? What about that? You know what I mean? Just what about the drug? What about the performance enhancing drugs issues in boxing? How do we get rid of those? That seems to be a bigger problem than the scoring. Because as far as last time I checked, judges' scorecard don't hit people upside the head. You know, judges' scorecards don't cause concussions. They're not the reason that Maxim Dadashev had passed away. It's not a reason that the other young man out of New York passed away. They're taking blows to the head. And you got people out here tampering with gloves. You got people out here on performance enhancing drugs, and you decide that the scoring is the big issue that you're gonna address. Man, look, this is the perfect time for people to be talking about this type of stuff and bringing light to very serious issues. Okay, I personally, my thought on the scoring system in boxing is, look, you got 3 judges. Okay, you have 3 judges. Sometimes you get bad decisions, but at least if you have a bad decision, the person lives to fight another day. And it's not the cheating of the people who are actually in the ring. But when you have ESPN, by the way, who I still have heard, maybe I heard them mention a little bit about the B sample on Dillian White and how UCAD allowed Dillian White to fight Oscar Rivas with knowing that he had performance enhancing drugs in his system, knowing that was the case, getting into the ring, allowing Dillian White to get into the ring with gloves that had never been checked. Those gloves might have had the padding taken out of them. Who knows what happened with those gloves? They were never checked. They were never approved by Oscar, by Team Rivas, and they were never put forward as an option by Dillian White to Team Rivas. So the idea that you're going to take your time and your resources over there on the biggest platform for boxing, or the biggest platform for sports in the United States, and you want to talk about something other than is the topic at hand, I think that's a little bit funny. But it begs the question, why would they do it? Well, why would they talk about scoring in boxing, and why wouldn't they be pressing on some great authors like Dan Rayfield and Steve Kim? Why would they be pushing on scoring in boxing, the issues with judges in boxing, and not talk about the issues around performance enhancing drugs in boxing? Maybe it could have something to do with the fact that they don't need access to judges to do their job. They need access to fighters to do their job. So if they push too hard on performance enhancing drugs, or they push too hard on an issue related to Tyson Fury, obviously lying about whether or not his excuse for using performance enhancing drugs. And interestingly enough, well, I guess I'll get to that, and I do that in another video, because Teddy Atlas had talked about that, and I thought that was really, really comedic. But obviously these guys just don't want to talk, at least not obviously. My opinion is that they don't want to push that because their jobs are on the line. Their jobs can be put on the line for that. Tell a story about Tyson, about Dan Rayfield, the first time Dan Rayfield did something that Bob Arum didn't like, and Bob Arum had him sitting in the auxiliary press, took away his nice comfortable seat. Dan Rayfield didn't want to sit with the second class media citizens, so he decided to go sit his behind over in the ESPN truck to cover the fight. Now, say what you like, Dan Rayfield is not a major. He is a major boxing writer with a major outlet, but he is not a major writer for that major outlet, because boxing is a tertiary sport at best over there at ESPN. So if he is not able to have the conversations and get the inside scoops and all that stuff, which often come from the promoters themselves, then hey man, he could be in a little bit of a rough situation as far as keeping his job into the future. Okay, so I think that's the reason. And so he doesn't want to blow the mystique of Tyson Fury. They're trying to sell this. They're trying to sell the Tyson Fury story. But hey, man, can we focus on what's important first? Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.